Now we're laying on. On Daf Chafal from an Aleph, Harabanan, Harab Shimon. We're going to defend Rav Sheshes by saying that the brisa that maintains that in a bias, in an ear, Shemukevitz Choma, there's no din of love gold, that's Rabbanan. They are not Dorish time of the crop. Okay? Mm-hmm. They're not Dorish time of the crop. And therefore, they say the exact opposite. Let's use the Gzera Shava and derive from Steachuza, where there's no possibility and allowance for love gold chatzoin. And it's Hura Kocho, even in that context, that after the year goes by and there was no Geula, is Nechlat Abayis Lakona. He can never be Goled afterwards. So that's what we're going to derive. But the other brisa that says that in the ear of Mukefes Choma, he can be Lov Evagol, he can be Golachat. So that's Reb Shimon. Reb Shimon is Doresh time of the Kra, and therefore he holds that since there was Hura Kocho, that after 1 year, if he wasn't Goel, it's Nichlat Lakona, therefore, Keneged the Hura Kocho, there'll be a Yipui Kocho, allowing him more legroom, more flexibility to be Goel by Lov V'Gol and Golachat Soim. Now the Gemara has a steer between two brises. Tani Chada, one brisa says with regard to selling a bias in a walled city, Lov V'Gol V'Lo Chatzon, Tanya either ain't a Lov V'Gol V'Ein a Gol Chatzon, Lo Kasha Harabanan Harab Shimon. Okay, now we're going to go back to the brisa that was brought early in the Gemara on Daf Chav, that derived from a pasuk that Magdish Steachuza is Lov V'Gol Gol L'Chatzon. And this entire sugya now is going to analyze, why do we need that pasuk? And the answer is because if not for that pasuk, we could have learned the Kal V'Chomer from Mocher Steachuza to Magdish Steachuza. Because in Mocher Steachuza, even though the Sada will return to its original owner at the Yovel time, nevertheless, despite that Yipui Koach, there's no din of Lov V'Gol Gol L'Chatzon. How much more so in the case of Magdish Steachuza, where if it was not Gol his Sada, it will not return back to him B'Yovel, is certainly Ein a Lov V'Gol V'Ein a Gol L'Chatzon. So why do you need this drasha to teach you that halacha that seems to be derived from a Kal V'Chomer? Now there is a pircha on the Kal V'Chomer because the Magdish is Yafa Kocho Ligal Sadeu Miyad. In the case of Mocher, he cannot be Goel until after 2 years. And the answer to that pircha is Mocher Bais Be'ir Mukefes Choma. That even though he could be Goel immediately, but ain't a Lov V'Gol, ain't a Gol L'Chatzon. So we need a pasuk to be marbe that in the case of Magdish Steachuza, he's Lov V'Gol, Gol L'Chatzon. Amalei Rav Acha Berei Rav Rav Ashi. Why did the Brisa say that if not for the pasuk of Gol Yigol, we would have said that a Magdish Steachuza is Ein Lov V'Gol, Ein Gol L'Chatzon? We should prove from Mocher B'Batei Choma or a Choma that even though he could be Gol immediately, nevertheless, Ein Lov V'Gol, Ein Gol L'Chatzon, Ikol Mifrach, Mala Mocher Bayis. He can only be goeled for 1 year, and that's called hura kocho. And eno lof ever goel ve'eno goel chatzon is tomer b'magdish sheyupa koch ligol olman. I don't know what the din would be in the case of Magdish Steachuza, because there he could be goel liolam. Liolam means out of yovel. And that's only conditional if the Gizbar didn't sell it to someone else. So we should say that even lo v'gol l'chatzoin. More answers on Malay Rav Acha, Sabal Rav Ashi, Mishum Dikol Meimar. There's a pirchi on this Kavachomer, Neheder Dina. And this is going to give us a tzad hashava. We're going to go back and forth on the Kavachomer. Teisei b'metzad. The din should go back to be derived from a tzad hashava between Mocher Stechuza and Mocher Bayis Be'ir Mukefes Chom. And if you'll come up with a pircha, in the case of Mocher Bayis B'Bater Choma Hukachocha, Shenu Nigal Yolam, he gets only 1 year to be goel, and that's why he's ain't a lova v'goel, ain't a goel chatzayin. Whereas in contrast, in the case of Magdish Steachuza, he's goel yolam, and therefore I would say that lova goel chatzayin. That's yipui koach. I'll tell you, Mocher Steachuza yochia sheyupa kocho ligoel yolam. So in Steachuza, he could be goel forever, so to speak, meaning until the yovel, but yet ain't a lo for goel, ain't a goel lechatzoyin. So what are you going to tell me? Mala mocher Steachuza ken hura kochli gol miyat. Meaning he has to wait 2 years until after the mechira before he could be goel in the case of mocher Steachuza. But magdish Steachuza, he could be goel immediately. So I should say that lo v'goel lechatzoyin. So against that, I would say mocher bais bateori chomi yochichu. Here's a person who could be goal immediately. He doesn't have to wait the 2 years, like in the case of mocher steachuza. So again, in mocher bate arichoma, we have the yipui koach, and yet there's no din of lo v'goel lechatzon v'chazra din. So every time you'll put up a pircha, right, from mocher bais bate arichoma that he's not goel liolam, I'm going to prove to you that a mocher steachuza from mocher steachuza is lo roizek roizeh. How can we get it tzad hashava? Hatzad hashava shebehem shenig olim v'ein lo v'goel. V'ein goel lechatzoyin. Afani avi magdish, even in the case of magdish steachuza, shenigal v'ein lo v'goel v'ein goel lechatzoyin. So that's why the Brisa needs a pasuk of gal yigal to teach me that lo v'goel lo v'chatzoyin, because otherwise I would have derived from this kavachomer that ain't a goel lechatzoyin. I have a pirch on the Kavachomer, Malat Tzad Shava Shebaen Shekain Hura Kocham Li Goel B'Shana Shniya. So whether you're talking about Mocher Sada, Steachuza, or you're talking about Mocher Bais with Bate Orichoma, in both cases, there's Hura Kocham that once you pass the first year, there's no possibility of Geula. Is Tomar b'Magdish sheyupa koach kocho ligol b'shana shniya. So you could be lof and gol lechatzon. And again, I don't need a puzzle. Our answer is Amalei Ravina mishum de'ikol mefrach. Okay, now we're introducing a whole other element into the equation. If you sell an Eved Ivri to a guy, Yupa Kocheli Gol B'Shana Shniya, right? You can be golem immediately from the time of the Mechira. The ain love the goet. The ain love l'chatzoyin. Ain go l'chatzoyin. So therefore, even in the Magdish Steachuza, we should say that even though there's Yipri Koach to be Goel in the second year, nevertheless, he would not be able to be Lova Goel or Goel L'Chatzoyin. So that's why I need the Pasuk Gol Yigal L'Rabos Shelove V'Goel V'Goel L'Chatzoyin. Now the Torah says that ki yomu chachicho mochar me'achuzasu ba gol hakorav elav. Boi minei Rav Huna bar China Rav Ashi, Rav Sheshes. Hamocher bayis b'batei orich choma, nigal lekrovim, or eno nigal lekrovim. Who is given this right to be goel a sada that was sold in a walled city? Is it the krovim? And the krovim could say to the koner, whether you like it or not, I'm going to be goel my karov. Oh, ain't golem lekrovim. Now the Gemara analyzes the two tzadim of the saf. Should we say gulaso misteachuza goma? We have Gzeira Shava that in steachuza it says beisigo matzah kidei gulaso. And we'll say now that if a person sells a bias in an ir mukefes choma, the Torah says that ish kiyim karbayis space moshe of ir choma v'isa gulasa tom shnas mimkar yomim tiyeh gulasa, only 1 year. Is masteh achuza she'ein negelos l'chatzoin. And nevertheless, in the case of steachuza, is nigeles l'krovim. The geula is conditional on krovim. Af nami here too in mocher bais mabate orichoma ein nigon lechatzoin. And again, the chacham have a gzeira shava, and they'll derive from that gzeira shava shenigal lekrovim o dilma. Or should we say we're not going to derive it from there, but kiksiva Geula b'chatzoin udechsiva. The pasuk Geula appears in the parsha of Chatzoin. So we're talking about Geulaso and Esteachuza and Umatza Kedei Geulaso, which comes to exclude only the case where he found Kedei Geulaso Goel. But if he finds something that's worth Chatzi Geulaso, that's what has to happen. It's Av Krovim Lo Ksiv. It doesn't say Gulaso, and therefore the Gzeira Shav is only to teach me that you cannot sell a bias b'batei arichoma and bigola chatzon. But it doesn't teach me anything about Geulas Krovim from a bias in an ir mukefes choma. Amalei Rav Sheshes says Rav Huna, bias b'batei arichoma ain't a nigal. You can't, even a karov can't be golden. So the Gemara immediately, Rav Huna responds, Eis ve'al eske kasha. It says, I'll read the whole passage. Ubechol eretz achuzaschem geula titnu la'aretz. Now, it's not too clear what this pasuk is coming to teach us and what geula it's coming to be marba. But the Bryce interprets as L'Rabos Botim the Eved Ivri. That Batim and the Ir Mukefes Chol and Eved Ivri in general are Nig'olim V'Krovim. My lavle boti orichoma. So here the Gemara concludes by saying, Omar Leir of Shesh's response of Huna bias b'poter chovenin nigal b'krovin. Ace face Rav Huna asks him, it says in the Torah, B'chol eretz achuzaschem geula titnu la'aretz, l'rabos batim v'eved ivri, that they are nigal b'krovin, is my love, l'bate arei choma. So you see that they are nigalim b'krovin, and that's against Rav Sheshes. And the Gemara says, lo, he's not referring to Batei Orichoma, but rather to Batei Chatzerim. These are batim that were in a city which did not have a Hekef Mechitza from Yemos HaMashiach. So Gemara raises the following objection, Batei Chatzerim Behedjik Sibahu. I mean, that's exactly what the Torah tells us about Batei Chatzerim. There's a ribui for Gulas Krovin. So what's Gemara's kasha now? That means that the din is, as far as pidyon, like identical to stei achuza, and just like in stei achuza there's gulas krovim, so too in batei chatzerim there's gulas krovim. So why do you need a ribui for gulas krovim? In batei chatzerim, why not just derive from stei achuza? And the Gemara answers, "Hahu the pasuk of ubechol eretz achuzaschem geula titnu lekovo chova." It's coming to establish an obligation on the krovim. They have to be poder the bias that was sold by one of their krovim because he was hard pressed for money. Via libid Eliezer. The sign we learned in a brisa, v'gal es mimkar achiv. I might think it's a reshus. A karov has license to be gold the sadeh that was sold by his karov. No. Omer ena elachova tamlove ish. This is according to the Shita of Rabbi Yeshua. We want to lead up to the Shita of Rabbi Eliezer. So how do I know it's only a reshus and not a chova for the krova to be goel the sada? Tamelon v'ish ki lo yeh lo goel. In other words, if there's no krovim to be goel the sada, then he could be goel his own sada. So Gemara asks, "Yesh adam v'Yisrael shein lo krovim shein lo golim." Everyone's related from Zerah Yaakov Avinu. Ella. So when it says Ein Lo Goel, it means there's someone who has the capacity to be Goel, but he doesn't want to buy the Sada. And a Rishus Biyad. We're not going to impose upon him an absolute unconditional obligation that he has to be Goel. Divrei Rabbi Yeshua. Rabbi Eliezer Omer, when it says in the pasuk uba golo akaravela v'gol es mimkar achiv chova. Atomer chova enu el reshus tamid lo bechol eretz achuzaschem geula titnu la'aretz. So again, according to the Shita of Rabbi Yoshua, there's only a reshus. According to the Shita of Rabbi Eliezer, it's a chova. And Rabbi Eliezer is going to derive this from the pasuk that there's a chova on the krovas on the karov to be goel. Then l'chor we don't have a source that a karov could be goel batei ari choma. I mean, that's okay because Rav Sheshes said that in Batei Orichoma, a carve is not goel. Amrli Rabbana and Rav Ashi, the Chacham said to Rav Ashi, the Imruli. Just 1 second, I think I skipped something. No, I got it right. The Amri Ravina Rav Ashi Bishlem Lamandi Omar Lerabos Batei Orichoma. According to the Mandi Amru says that the pasuk b'chol eretz achuzaskim gulatidna is coming to be marba Batei Orichoma, that you could be goel, the krom could be goel. Highly dechsiv bakol ubechol. Elamandi Omar Lerabos Batei Chatzerim my bechol. Kasha. Esvei Abaye. These are very challenging sugyas here. That's like an understatement. And we have to know about Steach Chuzo, you have to know about Mocher Steach Chuzo, Magdish Steach Chuzo, you have to know about Batei Orichoma, you have to know about whether there's a Chi of Geula and what are the options for Geula in each of these cases. It's like juggling a lot. So now Abai is going to raise an objection to Rav Sheshes, who holds that there's no Gulas Krovim in Batei Orichoma. Ma Talmud Lomar. Yigolenu, Yigolenu, Yigolenu. 3 times it says Yigolenu l'Rabos Kol HaGeulos. Shenig Olos Bas Kaseder Azeh. And we're assuming now it means that Nigolos Bekroven. And Gemara says, my love, doesn't the price have in mind the ribui for Batei Orichoma v'Eved Ivri? Because in both these cases it doesn't say Geulas Krovim. So we're going to be marbe from the extra Yigol Leno. Gemara says, lo, the price doesn't mean to say that in Batei Orichoma and Eved Ivri, but rather Batei Chatzerim Usteach Chusa. Okay, then I think this is where we're going to stop, even though I had hoped to finish Chaf Aleph Amud Aleph, and tomorrow's already Chaf Beis, but we'll see what we can do, within the framework of our capacity. We might be a daf behind, or maybe we'll skip a daf. I don't know. We'll see what happens. All right, then? Okay, Shkach. At least we got the technology working.